So, Hitman. Need I say more? Back in 2016, we got the rebooted Hitman game, following on from the controversial release of Hitman Absolution in 2012, which attempted to modernise the series by changing many parts of its core identity, with the biggest being the removal of the open sandbox style levels that the series was known for, opting rather for shorter levels that are broken up into different sections. Whilst I cannot personally speak on Absolution as I haven't played it, I can fully understand how this would alienate a lot of the core fans of the series, as when I came to the series with the reboot in 2016, the massively sprawling levels with endless possibilities and secrets is what impressed me the most. I personally can attest to just how much content and replayability these levels have, as I've combined just under 100 hours in the original reboot, as well as the Worldofassassination trilogy, and so far I've actually only played the first 6 levels from the first game, despite owning all the other levels from both Hitman 2 and Hitman 3. That's how much detail and replayability is in each of these. But today I want to explore the question of how these levels stack up against each other, and is this game an example of level design perfection? My name is Nosemasher, and thank you for joining me today, as we take a deep dive into these initial 6 levels to answer the question, did Hitman 2016 perfect level design? Before we start, let's just go over what we're looking for, as well as a few housekeeping mentions. First off, when discussing the levels, there are a few things we'll be considering. These won't be broken up into categories like my previous video, just things that we'll be looking out for. The first being just general level feel. How does it look? Is the layout easy to remember? Are there any really irritating areas that I hate going through? That kind of thing. How interesting are the level targets? After all, you could have the most beautiful level ever, with a lot of cool ways to dispatch your contracts. However, if the people themselves are dull and have the character depth of a puddle, then why should I care? Are the mission stories fun to play and give unique opportunities for taking out your targets? And finally, how creative and varied are all the challenges? After all, this is where most of the replayability comes from, so if they're all just headshots and toilet trips, then there's not much reason to return to the level. Also, all of these are the main missions for that particular location, as well as being the Hitman Worldofassassination versions of these levels. At the end of the video, I'll be revealing my favourite level of the whole game, so make sure you put yours in the comments as well, and see if we match. Now, without further ado, let us hop on a plane over to... Paris is an amazing way to kick off the main game. It is very clear that I had more time put into it than other levels, and this shows right out of the gate. Whereas most levels, 47 starts out just sitting or standing somewhere, Paris begins with actually showing him arriving at the location and showing his invitation to the guards. You also get a proper introduction to one of the targets, as if you walk through the front door, then you'll see one of the targets walking down the stairs with a spotlight, rather than almost every other level, where you'll just find the target standing or walking somewhere. Paris is set during a fashion show at a French palace, whilst billionaire owner Viktor Novikov is running the fashion show downstairs. In secret upstairs is Dalia Margulis, Novikov's partner, who is hosting an auction, selling government secrets and a list of undercover MI6 agents to the highest bidder. Both need to be taken out to prevent the list from being exposed. Both targets in this level are pretty interesting, as they each feel like they have their own goals and motivations. Dalia is the mastermind behind the whole operation, whilst Victor is somewhat of a loose cannon who has been making some critical mistakes as of late. This even comes to play during the level, as you can overhear Dalia talking to her bodyguard about the situation and needing to take Victor out, to which there is actually a lovely detail where you can find lethal poison pills on her body that she would have used on him. The level layout itself feels very much like a 2-tiered level, with the main ground floor where the fashion show is, it's all about Victor, and then the top floor with the auction being all about Dalia. This can leave the middle floors feeling a bit empty, as you really only use them to traverse between the 2 different areas and collect specific items. The music from the fashion show also can get a bit annoying, as it's one track that will just endlessly loop and start to drive you insane, and turning off the in-game music won't affect it at all. However, the level does look absolutely beautiful. The French architecture is a wonder to look at, and the amount of NPCs in this level is also genuinely impressive for how smooth it still runs. Out of any level in this game, this is the one that most feels like a Bond level. And look who's making the next Bond game. The mission stories, however, are a mixed bag. Victor has some brilliant ones, like poisoning his favorite cocktail that you can find the recipe for, as none of the other bartenders know what it is, which always makes me laugh. Or perhaps the craziest assassination in the whole game, where you drop the entire stage's lighting rig on him, which not only takes him out, but at least 5 audience members. Dalia, on the other hand, gets barely anything, as one of hers is just taking a dongle from the next room over and plugging it into her laptop to move her to the office, or triggering the fireworks display to move her onto the balcony, but neither of these are particularly memorable. This contributes to the fact that taking out Victor is almost always more fun than with Dahlia, as there are just a lot less options with her. There is also an odd thing about the challenges in this level, where compared to the rest of the levels, there are very few funny or secret ones. Most levels have at least one absurd Easter egg like the Kraken. However, Paris really has nothing like this, which is a shame. The original version of this level in 2016 had all the Master Vampire challenges, which were a lot of fun. However, they were bizarrely removed in the Worldofassassination version, which is very irritating. But now, we must hop back on the plane as we make our way to our next destination. Sapienza is by far the most common answer if you ask any fan of this game to name the best level, and it's easy to see why. Set in a fictional Italian coastal town, 47 is here to deal with two targets. The first being Silvio Caruso, a genius biologist who has created a DNA targeting virus in his secret laboratory beneath his family villa. And the second being Francesca De Santis, the head of the laboratory who could continue the research should Silvio be taken out. 47 must also destroy the deadly virus prototype. First off, this is perhaps the most stunning level in the whole game. You really can't go wrong with a sunny Italian town by the sea, and the atmosphere of the level has been nailed. It is also the level with the most number of challenges at 79, meaning it has the most replayability as well. Sapienza is also my personal favourite level for doing suit-only silent assassin runs. The level is generally split into three main areas: the town, the villa, and the lab. The villa is excellently designed, with extensive rooms and opportunities for gripping stealth gameplay. And the lab is a good challenge, considering it is crawling with guards and people who can see you through your various disguises. However, the town is by far the biggest area, and also feels like it's the most empty. There are of course things to find in it, such as the scientist's body at the morgue, but for the most part, it's a massive area with nothing for you to find or interact with. Like the town hall, which is this beautiful, large building that has absolutely nothing in it during this mission. I think this level, more than any other, feels like it was designed without this specific mission in mind, as other missions in Sapienza utilise this area brilliantly, like the Icon mission. However, for the main mission, these areas are just empty. Silvio Caruso as a character is perhaps one of the deepest and most interesting in the game. He's this brilliant scientist, however, he's clearly dealing with a whole boatload of childhood trauma from his mother. In fact, all of his mission stories involve her in some way, including my personal favourite, where 47 impersonates Silvio's therapist and gets him to admit to the fact that he smothered his mother to death, to which you can bestow upon him the same fate. Francesca De Santis isn't quite as deep as Silvio, but there's still some interesting things about her. She was sent there by their company to spy on Silvio, and she even plots to take him out, as he, like Viktor Novikov, have become a loose cannon. Too bad she couldn't avoid this cannon, however. Boom! She only has 3 mission stories compared to Silvio's 5, so she's definitely the secondary target. However, she is much more involved with another part of the level, and the reason this level doesn't quite hit that legendary status, which is destroying the virus. This is a required objective every time you complete this level, and it really shouldn't be. The main problem being that there are so many ways to take out the other 2 targets that you can do different ones each time you replay the level, but with the virus, there's only really 4 ways to destroying it. Walking into the chamber, distracting the scientist and overheating it, shooting a stalactite, or using the instant destroy dongle you find on the scientist in the morgue. I've done dozens of playthroughs of Sapienza, finding new and fun ways to take out the main 2 targets each time. However, I then also groan as I have to go and destroy the virus every time, with other methods I've already used multiple times. It also means you almost always use the seaplane escape, as destroying the virus last is by far the most logical order to do it, and that escape is right next to it. Genuinely, if the virus was only required on the first playthrough, like the basement room in Colorado, then this level would be the best one to replay. However, having to do it every time makes this level lose that. Despite that, however, it is still a great level that I enjoy replaying, especially with cool Easter eggs like the Kraken. Well, let us say arrivederci as we hop across the Mediterranean Sea to our next location. Marrakesh is perhaps the most interesting premise for a level in the whole game. Set in the Moroccan capital during an attempted coup by the Swedish banker Klaus Strandberg and army general Reza Zaydan. This level has perhaps the best set piece, with this massive protest outside the Swedish embassy where Strandberg is held up, whilst his co-conspirator General Zaydan has set up base in an abandoned school nearby. Sadly, this level really doesn't utilise this amazing setup enough, as more than any other level it feels like two different levels forced into being in one location. As whilst the city itself looks brilliant, outside of these two key locations, the level is just a vast stretch of nothing that you have to run through between each target. Both the school and the consulate have very limited methods of infiltration, so any repeat playthroughs can start to feel a bit stale, as there's really only 2 or so ways to get into each of them. The actual assassinations available here are quite varied, one of my favourites including dropping a toilet on Zaydan as he reprimands his soldiers. The mission stories as well in this level are a lot of fun, such as taking the place of one of Zaydan's prisoners and sneak attacking him, or disguising yourself as Strandberg's masseuse and snapping his neck mid-massage. This actually brings up a really good point, as by far my favourite eliminations in each level are the personal ones where the target actually talks to 47 alone, such as this one with Strandberg, the therapy session from the previous level, and my favourite assassination in the whole game, which may or may not be coming up in the next location. The targets in Marrakesh also aren't particularly interesting. Strandberg is basically just a generic evil businessman, and Zaydan is the generic evil general, so there really isn't too much to discover by either of them that scratches beneath the surface. In terms of appearance, it is a very nice looking level and feels very authentic. It definitely feels the most alive out of any of the levels in the game, as it's set in the heart of a city rather than in a more exclusive area, and the protest outside the consulate is truly something to behold with that many NPCs on screen. I don't think Marrakesh is at all a bad level, however, for having the most unique premise in the whole game, it's definitely disappointing. Now, we must once again jump across continents, as our next destination brings us to Bangkok is a really solid level, taking place at a luxury hotel in the Thai capital. Currently, the hotel is being used by world famous rock band The Class to record their second album. The band's lead singer, Jordan Cross, is highly suspected of pushing his girlfriend from a roof to her death, only being saved from prison by his father's scummy lawyer, Ken Morgan. 47 is tasked by the girlfriend's family to eliminate both Morgan and Cross as an act of retribution. The level itself is quite nicely designed, apart from these hideous purple carpets they have in the lobby, which have always struck out to me for some reason. The hotel has 2 main towers, with Morgan and Cross's suites being at the top of each of them. This level is also cool because 47 actually has his own room in the hotel you can go to. Also, side note, why does 47 use the same alias of Tobias Reaper everywhere he goes? Surely by doing that, he's just asking to get caught when this Tobias guy always seems to be present at the sites of mysterious accidents of high-profile people. Anyway, Ken Morgan isn't a particularly fascinating target to go after. He's your typical slimy lawyer who's usually found walking around the front of the hotel with his bodyguard. You can bring him up to his suite where he walks with you and waits till you clean it up for him, which is why it's rather satisfying to show him the quick way down. Or another way is you can get him to come for a meeting in the laundry room away from anyone else so you can dispatch him. Jordan Cross, however, is possibly the most interesting character in the game. This spoiled brat of a rock star who is just unbearable to be around, and may bear a slight resemblance to another unbearable musician. It is very satisfying to give him a taste of his own medicine by luring him out to the hotel roof and pushing him off the same way he did to his girlfriend. But my favourite assassination in the whole game is playing the tape of the murder out loud from Jordan's room, watching him freak out to turn it off until he turns around and sees 47 sitting calmly in a chair pointing a gun at him. This assassination is why I said previously that I love the more personal ones, as you get to see this guy beg for his life before getting domed by 47 in the most badass way. There's fewer challenges in this level than any other in this first game, and it makes this level feel a bit on the smaller scale compared to the rest. However, I still quite like it and enjoy replaying it. Back on the plane we go, and it's about time we arrived at Colorado tends to get a groan when mentioned in the Hitman community, with the game not actual Hitman, Jesus Christ, and it's pretty widely considered the worst level in the trilogy. The level is set in the base of a private militia using an abandoned American farm. 47 is sent in to eliminate 4 high-ranking members of the militia in an attempt to retrieve some intel. These targets are Sean Rose, a terrorist and explosives expert; Ezra Berg, a mysterious interrogator who hides his face behind a mask; Penelope Graves, a defected agent from Interpol; and finally, Maya Pavati, a former assassin and guerrilla fighter. I honestly don't hate this level and think it brings a bit of variety into the game. One reason is because this is the only level that doesn't have any civilians, and where any area without a disguise is automatically hostile to 47. The actual level map feels rather small, but it is still quite fun to sneak into and try and find a disguise. And with every enemy having a gun, it also feels a lot more dangerous. Aesthetically, it actually looks quite nice and has a lovely autumny vibe to it, although if you start looking out to distant parts, it becomes pretty ugly pretty fast. One of the main problems with this level, however, is the fact that having 4 targets mean you effectively cut down the methods of assassination in half, as each of them only has about 3 unique methods for dispatching them, and 3 of the assassination challenges are just taking all the targets out with the same method, which whilst can be fun, also doesn't feel very creative. In terms of the targets themselves, they're all pretty decent I guess. Ezra Bug is one of the most unique targets in the game, with his unusual mask he wears when interrogating prisoners. However, I think the most uninteresting one is Sean Rose, which is a shame because he's clearly the main target, as he has 3 mission stories for himself, whilst the other targets only get 1 each. And speaking of those mission stories, despite how few of them there actually are, they're quite good. The best one being where you get to practice this assassination the military were planning by doing this little timed minigame. Another good one being the one for Penelope, where you hijack a plan to test her loyalty by pretending to be an Interpol agent attempting to re-recruit her, before throwing her into a big sludge pit. I'm honestly not sure how this eliminates her, unless it stinks so bad she'd rather just sink to the bottom and end it quickly. When you do this level for the first time, one of your required objectives is to break into the basement underneath the farmhouse and retrieve the intel. This doesn't really take long at all, but it could become very annoying if you had to do it each time, so thank the Lord they only made it mandatory for the first playthrough. Why they also couldn't do this for the virus in Sapienza, I have no idea. It's definitely not my favourite level, but I think it is way overhated by the community. Now my friends, we come to our final stop on this trek across the globe. I hope you've all enjoyed the journey, as our final destination is... Hokkaido is the final level for Hitman 2016, set in a high-tech Japanese hospital. 47 is sent in to eliminate Eric Sodas, the former training director of the ICA who has betrayed the organisation in order to save his own life, as he needs a special emergency heart surgery, which is why he lies at the hospital prep for surgery. 47 must also eliminate Yuki Yamazaki, a Japanese lawyer who has been given ICA secrets. To start, I would like to admit that I have less experience with this level compared to the rest of them. Due to the way I play them in order and really immerse myself in each one before moving on to the next, I've only done 3 or 4 run-throughs of this level. Right off the bat, this level really feels like a final test of your skills that you've gained throughout the game, as it changes up a lot of the mechanics and takes away a lot of the player's safety nets. The hospital is run by an intelligent AI system called Kai, and because of this, there are no keycards or keys used for any of the security doors. Instead, the very clothes that you were wearing are what allows you to access the different doors in the facility, meaning you can't just lockpick yourself everywhere in your default suit. Also, because 47 is checked in as a patient, he's unable to smuggle any items or gadgets in, so you start with nothing in your inventory. The hospital itself feels like a massive maze, which is very fun to explore. For instance, it wasn't until now that I realised that the guy in the shower is actually listening to The Class, the band from the Bangkok level. It's also an absolutely beautiful level set in the snow, and I love the touch of seeing the fireworks coming from a nearby town. In terms of targets, Eric Sodas is the only target in the game that you have any kind of personal connection with, as he is mentioned frequently in the prologue for the game and in the previous level, making it a lot more satisfying to finally take him down. There's also a lot of ways to take him down, one of the best being you can destroy his new heart, dooming his fate and then just leaving the level without actually eliminating him, as he now won't live for more than a day or 2 without his replacement heart. This is one of the coolest assassinations in the whole game, and I honestly wish each level had one like this, where the target is doomed when you leave the level but still alive. Yuki Yamazaki, however, does feel rather shoehorned in, just because they felt they needed to have 2 targets. I think I would honestly prefer to just have Sodas be the only target, but make it even more difficult to reach him, as he should feel like a final boss where you need to use all your skills to get to him. Even so, she does have some good assassinations, like trapping her in an overheating sauna, which even has its own little cutscene. Overall, I think this is perhaps the most creative piece of level design in the whole game, and it clearly had a lot of thought put into it. Our journey across the world has come to an end, folks. Now, let's look back at where we've been and do a little level ranking. Remember, this is just my opinion, and your personal list may vary completely. These are just the levels that I enjoy replaying the most. So, in 6th place, we have Marrakesh. Like I said before, I don't think any of the levels are truly bad. However, Marrakesh definitely has the most missed potential. The targets being separated into completely different areas really kills a lot of the fun here, and makes it feel a lot more a slog than the others. The protest is still one of the coolest bits of atmosphere in the game though. Next up, in 5th place, we have Colorado. Most people would probably put this right at the bottom, but I don't hate this level at all. It definitely lacks a lot of replayability, considering each of the 4 targets have a lot less assassination challenges than levels with only 2 targets. However, it's still a nice change of pace, being in an area where everyone is hostile to you in your default suit, so it does make you play differently. Coming in at number 4, we have Bangkok. This is a really solid level that doesn't make any major mistakes. It's one of the best targets in the game in Jordan Cross, and overall, it's just a good time. Although those carpets are still hideous. Number 3, we've got Hokkaido. Perhaps the most unique and creative level in the game. This is probably the hardest level and fits in well as a final test of skill for the player. Eric Sodas is a great target, as you have a personal relationship with him, and there are numerous really interesting ways to take him out. Yuki feels a bit tacked on, and the mission stories are pretty average, but it is still a fantastic level. For the runner-up, we have Sapienza. This level just oozes charm, and really gives the player the options for really creative assassinations. Silvio is perhaps the deepest character with his traumatic upbringing, and the villa is excellent to explore with many hidden away areas. The town, whilst not used very much, is still beautifully designed and a joy to be in. If the virus wasn't a required objective, then this level genuinely could have been number 1. However, the fact you have to do it every time just knocks it from the top spot. With that honour going to Paris is the crown jewel of this game, and one of the most impressive feats I've ever experienced playing a video game. The amount of things going on and the level of interactivity you have with this map is just unmatched. This level needed to make a statement about this new Hitman reboot, and by god did it achieve that with flying colours. If anything in the new Bond game can reach even close to this, I will be a very happy man. So now, we must answer the question, did Hitman 2016 perfect level design? And my answer is, kind of. I think it's impossible to truly say that any game has perfected anything, as then the medium would stop making progress, as it couldn't get any better. And whilst I don't think I'd describe any one level in Hitman 2016 as complete perfection with absolutely 0 faults, I would describe it as a gold standard level design that other studios could learn a great deal from. But could Hitman 2 and Hitman 3 possibly suppress this level of quality? Well, stay tuned to the Nosemasher channel, as one day we may get an answer to that question. However, until then, my friends, my name is Nosemasher, thank you for listening to me, and have a wonderful day. Hello everybody, thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I'm just going to do my usual rambly outro. First off, I'd just like to say massive thank you to everyone who supported and watched and subscribed after the first video. I honestly didn't know whether that video was going to get 10 views or 100, but it got 700 in the space of about 3 days, which is insane to me. Obviously, compared to a lot of other YouTubers, that's not very much at all, but to me that's a silly amount of views. I also wasn't lying when I said in this video when I said that it took me 7 years to complete the first 6 levels of Hitman. I genuinely play them, like I'd start one, I do like 10 playthroughs of it, doing all the challenges, and then I move on to the next one. So by that rate, I will finish Hitman 2 in about 2035 is probably when you'll get, whatever, my math is awful, and that when you'll get the it's 2032 is when you'll get the Hitman 2 video, and then 2039 when you get the Hitman 3 video. So I just hope another Hitman game doesn't come out in that time. I also mentioned I've been recording in 30 FPS, just to save file size. I didn't really notice it in the other video, but if you guys have noticed, if the video quality isn't as good as this video, please let me know, so I know that I can, if 30 FPS isn't really working, I can switch up and record at 60 to make it better for you guys. I've also noticed when I was recording, there's this weird clicking noise in the background that I wasn't really sure where it was coming from. I tried like doing noise reduction to get rid of it, but it didn't really work. So I'll try and figure out the next time, because obviously it can be quite annoying if there's a really weird click in the background. My vocals, I tried to be more clear with my vocals in this video, but I think by the end of it, especially when I got to the Japan bit, I was starting to slur a bit and slowing down, so I'll make sure to do that better next time. And also, this video took just pretty much exactly 30 hours of work, so over 2 weeks. I'm pretty happy with that. That's 15 hours faster than the first one, and I did it in 2 weeks instead of about a month. I'm really excited for the next video. The next video is going to be a lot of fun. Honestly, I'm not sure what I'm actually going to do yet. I have to look through. I have an idea, but I'm not completely sure if I'm going to do that. But thank you for everyone who subscribed. I really, really appreciate it. If you did enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be making things every 2 weeks, so you'll hopefully enjoy it. Thank you a lot, guys, and cheers.